There are negotiation techniques that most people will never learn. Why? Because nobody teaches them. Not in a business school, not in sales training, not in any book on the shelf at the library. These are techniques rooted in psychology, in how people actually make decisions. And when you understand them, you can negotiate with anyone in any situation and come out ahead. I've been negotiating deals since I was 12. I've closed deals that added double digits to an entire company's revenue. I even got a billionaire to pay me 50% more. And I'm going to give you 8 specific psychological techniques that I use in every single negotiation. These are not tricks. These are how the best negotiators in the world actually operate. Technique number 1, anchoring. Control the first number, because the first number in a negotiation doesn't just start the conversation, it controls it. Research by Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman in their paper, Judgment Under Uncertainty, shows that once a number is introduced, people unconsciously adjust around it, whether it's rational or not. Top negotiators don't wait to react, they set the reference point. Most people walk into a sales negotiation and wait for the offer. A top negotiator says, based on the scope and impact, I'd expect something in the $150,000 to $170,000 range. Now the entire conversation lives inside that frame. You didn't just answer the question, you defined reality. And once you control the starting point, the next move is knowing when not to say anything. Let's get to technique 2, strategic silence. Let them break the silence first. Silence is uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. Research summarized by Deepak Malhotra throughout the Harvard Program on Negotiation shows that people feel pressure to fill conversation gaps, and often do by conceding or revealing information. Top negotiators use that pressure. You say your price is $50,000. And then you don't say anything. Most people panic in that moment. They start explaining, justifying. Top negotiators say nothing. And what happens? The other person fills the space. Would you consider 45? Maybe we could adjust scope. They start negotiating with themselves. You didn't push. You didn't say anything. You let silence do it for you. And once you understand that, you realize something else. It's not just what you say or don't say, it's how you react. Let's talk about reaction. Technique 3, the flinch. Make them question themselves. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't a counteroffer, it's a reaction. Because people don't just evaluate offers logically. They read signals. They flinch. They flinch comes from classic negotiation training, including Roger Dawson in Secrets of Power Negotiating. It works because people constantly look for feedback to validate their position. Negotiation training frameworks, especially in high-stakes deal-making, use what's known as the flinch to disrupt confidence. Someone says, we're offering 30. And instead of saying a word, you pause. You lean back and you say, 30? Like there's something wrong with it. 30? Now they're wondering, uh-oh, what did I do? They're uncomfortable. They're explaining. They're justifying. And all you did was say, 30? Because your reaction made them question their own position. And here's the key. Even when people know this tactic exists, it still works because it hits instinct, not logic. And once you can shift how they feel about their own offer, you're ready to shape how they feel about you. Let's get to technique 4, mirroring, building trust without them even noticing. You know, people trust people who feel familiar, and they don't even realize it's happening. Research by Tanya Chartrand and John Barg in The Chameleon Effect shows that subtle mimicry increases trust and connection. So what mimicry? Top negotiators mirror language. If someone says, we're under a lot of pressure on timing, you respond, pressure on timing? This works. People use this in counseling. Same words, calm tone. What do? They expand, they elaborate, and they feel understood. That's why professional counselors use it. And without realizing it, they start aligning with you. You didn't persuade them, you made them feel comfortable enough to persuade themselves. And once that connection is built, you can shift something even more powerful, what they stand to lose. Let's get to technique 5. Loss framing makes saying no feel expensive. People don't fear missing out on gains. They fear more losing what they already have. We know this because Daniel Kahneman, Jack Netsch, and Richard Thaler did research on this, the endowment effect. In loss aversion, it shows losses weigh heavier than gains in decision making. Yes, people hate losing more than they love getting. Top negotiators frame decisions around risk. They highlight loss. Instead of saying, this will increase your revenue, we've all heard that, right? You say, every month this isn't implemented, you're leaving X dollars on the table. Now the decision isn't, do I want this? Do I want to spend more to get this? The decision is, can I afford to not do this? That is a completely different conversation. And once loss enters the frame, inaction becomes risky. I got to do something. And when something feels scarce or at risk, you can amplify it even further. So let's get to technique 6, the takeaway. The fastest way to make something more valuable is to make it less available. And there's been research on this by Robert Cialdini in Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, that shows that perceived availability directly impacts desire and urgency. Cialdini's research on the scarcity principle shows that the moment something feels like it might go away, people stop evaluating logically and start reacting emotionally. That's why pulling back even slightly can increase urgency and perceived value instantly. And top negotiators don't chase, they withdraw. Instead of pushing and saying, let's move forward, let's close it up, when do you want to do it? Oh no. They say, you know what? It looks like this might not be the right fit for you. Maybe we'll revisit it later. Now the other person says, wait a minute. They're now re-engaged because they don't want to lose anything, so they start trying to keep the deal alive because what was available is now at risk. You're taking it away. And when people feel something slipping away, they act. But to use this well, you need one more layer. You need to understand what they are feeling. So let's get to technique 7, labeling. Disarm them by naming it. Labeling? Well, when emotion is high, logic goes out the window. You have to lower the emotion first. And research by Matthew Lieberman in putting feelings into words shows labeling emotions reduces emotional intensity and increases rational thinking. And they stop resisting. Top negotiators don't ignore tension, they surface it. For example, instead of arguing with the other party, you never win on arguing, you say, it sounds like you're concerned about the risk here. I'm showing that I care. Now something shifts. They feel seen. They feel heard. They relax. And when they relax, they open up because you're not fighting them. You're working with them. And once that happens, you can start moving the deal forward on your terms. They're your friend. They're on the same side as you now. So let's get to technique 8. If you got to give something up, controlled concessions, but never give without getting. Here's what people don't realize. Every concession sends a message, and most people send the wrong one. Research from the Harvard Program on Negotiation, including Katie Shank's article, Make Concessions Strategically in Negotiation, shows that concession patterns shape expectations and outcomes. So what's a concession pattern? What do I mean by this? It makes a big difference. Top negotiators don't just concede. They design their concessions. Instead of dropping from 50 to 40 immediately, they want to send the right signal. They go 50 to 47 to 45. Much smaller moves, much slower pace. and it feels like they're reaching the edge. They're not going to be able to get you any further. And here's the best part. Each time they give something, they get something. So they only moved a little bit, but they're getting a little more and a little more and a little more. If we move here, then we need this because nothing is free. And when every concession feels intentional, the entire negotiation feels controlled. These aren't tricks. This is how decisions actually get shaped before anyone realizes it's happening. Before anyone. These 8 techniques, if you start using them, can change your ability to make successful negotiation outcomes. Now you have 8 techniques, but these techniques are only half of it. The other half is understanding the full framework behind how master negotiators think about every conversation they walk into. So click this video here because I break down the complete approach to becoming a master negotiator, from mindset to preparation to execution. I will see you there.